Okay, it's Andrea Gehrz, and my next video on my list is to talk about is having famous friends. So this thing started to happen, and this was like probably 7 years ago now, when I was trying to record my album, my metal album, with my metal producer Billy Anderson, and he was probably the most famous person I ever met. Um, and I had to basically get to him to be able to record my album. Um, so Anyway, that was my first test in having famous friends, and that was the hardest person I've ever had to get to in my life. Billy used to work with the Melvins. He recorded the Sleep Neurosis album. Like I don't know like all the metal history there, but I knew that my album needed to go through Billy Anderson, and I had to get to him. So I basically had to get in a queue and wait for like 2 years and appeal to his whole team online for like 2 years until his team let me get to him, at which point I could actually get into the room with him. And then I had to write a storyline about how I could get into the room with him. And I was like, okay, I can take him. My Mars is as strong as his Mars because our Mars are opposed. And like, I was like, let me at him. Like, because everyone's afraid to like let me in the room with him because he's all big and scary and stuff. And like, it was just this crazy thing. I had to do all these like media stunts and stuff just to get to him. And then, of course, after I recorded the album, like people are acting like it was no big deal. They're just like, "Oh, that album, or whatever." I'm like, "Do you know what I had to do to get to this, get this thing recorded?" And like, it was the biggest test that I have ever had in having a famous friend. And so, it makes my current situation of having a bunch of famous friends in astrology seem like not that big of a deal, honestly. The friends I have in astrology who are famous are also hard to get to. And but like I learned so much from the Billy Anderson thing of like you basically okay, this is like the algorithm. Okay, let's say I want to get to my friend Judith, who's like she's legendary status in astrology, but she's like actually literally one of my best friends. Like, how do I know this? Well, we have a baby together. Number one, the Wonder Book of True Astrological Case Files. You know how much work we had to do together to write this book? We had to write it, send stories back and forth, get in a bunch of fights because we have Mars to square each other, and like we have this beautiful composite chart. Like we are best friends. When I saw her at Norwalk, we were dancing, we were laughing. I won't even tell you the extent of like we were just getting rowdy. But like basically, whenever I'm in the room with Judith, like we are just like, oh my God, there you are. Like I think it's in Spanish. There's like a phrase for like there was a hole in my heart where you once were. That's what it's like whenever Judith and I see each other. It's like, oh my God, the hole in my heart where you were is now full, and like, so it doesn't matter if I haven't seen her in a year or I haven't seen her in 3 years. It's like there's my best friend Judith. Now, it's kind of like not the same as having a normal best friend because like I literally can't get to her. Like I tried to talk to her at at one of the banquets and her bodyguard yelled at me and she's like, she has had enough. And I was like just literally trying to show her something on my phone like you would normally do to a friend. And like if I wasn't used to having like famous friends, I would have been totally deflated by that experience. But I was just like, oh, whatever. I was like, whatever, I'll get you later. Like, but it's kind of crazy because, some days I just get tired. Like today when I called Judith, she picked up the phone right away. And and I'm just like, hey, it's Andy, and she's like, oh, hi, sweetie, whatever, and like there we go, we're talking, but it's like crazy because every time I call her, I have to like psych myself up. Like, what if she doesn't answer my call? What if she's too famous for me? What if she's too busy for me? And it's just sometimes I get so deflated, like oh my God, this person's too famous for me, or it's like so. I would say that having famous friends is like almost not even worth it because I like my friends who are not too famous for me. Like one of the things I love about John Morani is that he's just not too famous for me. I can just text him anytime, like, hey, John, how's it going? Like, we talk about the school every day. We talk daily. We check in on each other every day. And he's just not too famous for me. And it's like, you'd think that, like I need someone to be all this grand machine of the gods like wonderful famous person to work with me, and I'm like, well, can you just be kind of available? Because it's like when people are so famous, I have to get to them through a team. It's like I basically have to like write a storyline where like my team and their team get along, and then it's like, okay, now I can maybe get to you a little bit, and then maybe they'll talk to me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is so complicated. Like you just made it so complicated. But like Billy Anderson and I have some business that we got to do together soon. And it's like and now I have to think. I'm like, how am I going to get to Billy? Should I make a video? Should I get the crowd to swell over to video Billy's page, or like how can I crowd swell so that Billy is like, oh, I need to talk to Andy, like. But then I can like just contact him directly too. It's kind of like it's like it depends on how busy he is. And so it's just sometimes your famous friend has like a slow day and you're like, oh, I can feel in the ether that so and so has a slow day right now. And so then you just go after them. But it just so depends on their schedule and like what's going on. So anyway, if you guys ever feel like I'm too famous for you, just text me. Just Facebook message me. Because like I'm actually just a person. Like I try to make myself available online a lot so that thing doesn't happen where people can't get to me because I'm too famous. It's like, for example, I actually like to read chart readings, and it's like if people can't get to me, like they can't have a chart reading. So it just gets kind of oppressive, honestly. The whole fame wall thing, um, yeah. And then, of course, I have friends who I think are famous in my own mind, but they're like super shy and humble, and they get mad at me like every time I try to be like, so anyway, about that tattoo you made that was freaking awesome, and I'm gonna show to my crowd, and they're like, no, no, I'm not, I don't want to be shared, I don't want to be shown, and then so then I have my friends who are like anti-famous, and so that's a crazy thing. A lot of people would say, oh, fame is this terrible thing, and like see how it makes everything bad, and I'm like, well, it's just makes everything kind of high stakes. It's like the other thing about having famous friends is that if you do something wrong, then their team gets all mad, and then you can't even have a bad transit without like your famous friend's team getting mad at you. And so it's like it's hard to be like real with them all the time. Like things get kind of like all business sometimes. Um, but that's why I like to keep it real on my page because it's like in my business, we are just real. We are our real selves and we go through transits and up and down. And if catch me on a bad transit, no transit is bad, but like if you catch me and you're in a cranky mood, I'll be like, oh, what's your transit? Like, I won't be like, that person is shunned from my page or like, I am shunning that person and like all the walls go up. It's like, no, like a bad mood won't make the walls go up here. Um, the only thing, yeah, I don't even know what makes the walls go up here. It would just, I have no idea. Try me and see. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not too famous. I don't even think I could be considered a famous friend. I would call me, I don't know. I'm just on Facebook. Whatever. Whatever. It's no big deal. You guys see me talking all the time. Anyway. So anyway, that was on my list because people always ask me like, how do you get these famous friends? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's really complicated. It's like in order to get to Billy Anderson to make my album, I literally had to run for 2 years trying. And like my soul just wanted to make that album so bad that I just did it. I did all the things because my soul was like, this album needs to come out. And I still like that album is still one of the biggest accomplishments of my entire life. In fact, if you want a mail trade, I'll send you one of them. If you have a CD player, you have to have a CD player and you have to send me something back because we can't owe any karmic debts. We got to like mail trade like that. But anyway, all right, have a good day.